Today I want to share with you guys one of my favorite soup recipes. It's crab corn bisque with bacon, and this delightful and delicious recipe is always such a great hit with guests at my house, and I have received so much positive feedback regarding the recipe on my website, so I thought it was time to share with you guys. And it's really an easy and simple recipe, even one you can make after work at home for dinner. So let's run through some of the ingredients and get started. I'm going to break this recipe down into a few different parts, so let's run through all the ingredients in part 1. We're going to need 4 slices of thick smoky bacon, and this is going to add lots of flavor to our soup. We're going to need 1 diced onion and 2 celery sticks. We're going to need 4 cloves of garlic finely minced. And now for our spices, we're going to need 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, ground black pepper, dried basil, and just half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and it's also going to add lots of that smoky flavor to our soup. We're going to need 2 cups of chicken broth, half a cup of tomato sauce, half a cup of some great white wine, and we're also going to need 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. So I'm adding just a splash of oil in my pan, and we're going to heat this over a medium-high heat until it's nice and hot. Then we're going to add our bacon, and we're going to render it until it's nice and crispy. And you see how beautiful our bacon is, that crispy and golden brown color. That's just the way we want it to be. We're going to remove this, and we're going to dice this and set it aside, and we're going to add it later to the soup. But you want to save all that fat that's been rendered in that pan, and we're actually going to add our diced onion and our diced celery into this pan, and it's going to soak up all that amazing flavor. And to this we're going to add our minced garlic cloves. We're going to stir all of this together until it's nice and golden brown, and you want that onion to be translucent. Now at this step we're going to go ahead and turn our heat down to medium, and we're going to add all our spices and our seasonings. And we're going to cook this for 1 more minute. Just want to give it a quick stir. And this already smells so good. I can't wait to try this. We're ready to add our wine, so we're going to add about half a cup of wine. And it's going to pick up all those baked on little tidbits at the bottom of the pan. And then we need to add our Worcestershire, a tablespoon of this. And then we're going to add half a cup of our tomato sauce. There you go. We're going to give this all a quick stir, and we're going to keep the heat at medium, and we need to cook this for about 6 to 8 minutes until it's nicely reduced. I've cooked my onion mixture for about 8 minutes, and you can see how nicely reduced the mixture is. We're going to go ahead and we're going to transfer this into a different pan, and we're going to add to this our onion mixture. And we're also going to add our chicken broth, and we're going to cook this all together for about another 10 to 12 minutes until that onion is really nice and soft. So this is going to be our first base for our soup. So we're going to need 2 cups of chicken broth. There it goes. And we're going to keep the heat at medium again. Give that a quick stir and let that cook. So this is what your soup base should look like after you've cooked it for another 10 minutes with the onion mixture and the chicken broth. It's going to develop a really rich color and flavor. Now we're going to use a stick blender. You can also put it in just a regular blender, and we're going to puree this until it's nice and smooth. So I've pureed my soup using my stick blender, and I love these things because they're so convenient. And you can see the texture, it's nice and smooth. Now we're going to return this to the stovetop, and then we can add our cream component. Now that we have the base for our soup cooking, let's get to part 2. Now in part 2 we're going to make a roux. We're going to need 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour. And this is going to act as our thickening agent for our soup. And then to that roux we're going to add a cup of heavy cream, and we're going to add 2 cups of milk. So for our roux, we're going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter in a small saucepan, but you want it to be big enough to fit the 2 cups of milk and the 1 cup of cream. Now once it's melted, we're going to add our flour. And we want to cook this flour out for a few minutes, just so that it doesn't have that floury taste to it anymore. It's going to take just a few minutes, and you want to make sure that you're stirring it the entire time. So our roux has cooked just for a few minutes, and now we can gradually start adding the milk. Make sure you don't add it all at once because you don't want any clumps to form. Just slowly. Add about half a cup at a time. Make sure you whisk after each addition. You can see just as soon as it starts to thicken, you can add more. And you want to whisk after each addition until it has no more clumps in here. I got a little bit more. I'm going to add the remaining milk. And now we can also add 1 cup of our cream. There you go. Now we're going to keep this simmering at a medium heat, and you want it just to start simmering, and then we can add it into our soup. And now for our last part, let's just run through the ingredients really quick. We're gonna need 2 cups of real crab, and I prefer to use real crab. If you wanna make a less expensive version, it's just as good. You can always use imitation crab, and you can get the flake style that pulls apart, and it's gonna be great for the soup, just as good as real crab. We're also gonna need 1 cup of corn kernels, and you can use canned or fresh. We're also gonna need about 2 to 3 green onions diced, and then we're also gonna need our bacon that we rendered earlier. I've chopped it into small little pieces. We're also gonna add that. And then to top off the soup, once you're ready to serve, we're gonna need some freshly chopped chives. So as soon as our milk begins to even slightly simmer, we're gonna go ahead and transfer it into our pot with the rest of our soup. We're gonna just switch places here real quick. Bring this over. And we're going to pour all of it in here. I'm going to give that a quick stir. And now we can actually add the remaining ingredients in as well. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my crab. We're going to add our diced bacon bits. Those look delicious. I love bacon. Also going to add our corn, and we're going to add our green onion. So once you've added all our final ingredients, we're going to give this a quick stir, and we're going to let it cook for another 7 to 8 minutes. I love this recipe because it's so easy to make, it smells amazing, and it probably tastes even more delicious. So we're going to ladle it into our soup bowl. And it looks great. Still hot off the stove top. Okay, now I like to sprinkle the soup with a little bit of chives on top. And now we're gonna give it a quick taste. I love all the seafood flavor in here, and that smokiness from the bacon and the smoked paprika just adds so much more flavor to it. One of my favorite soup recipes. I love to serve this soup with some fresh French bread, and of course you could always finish off that bottle of wine that we used for the recipe. Now I'm gonna work on finishing this bowl of soup, and I might have another one. If you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also check out recipes like this one on my website. I'll see you next time.